Hey, welcome back to Top Agent Training. My name is Kurt, and there is going to be a longer training where you get a little more detail about mold, but this is one's important to me. It's called Don't Let Mold Kill Your Deal. I'm just going to give you a brief overview where if you find mold, what it looks like to get it taken care of, even inside your window before you're trying to close. So, and why you would want to do a mold evaluation. Even though you can kind of see the mold on the wall or the mold under the sink, you're like, well, why do I need an evaluation? So hear me out on that. So, okay, the inspector says, hey, there's mold under the kitchen sink. And look, it could be bad. It could have been going on for a long time. It could be if you open up the cabinets and rip them off the ground, you might find even more mold damage. Not the end of the world. But you do want to do an evaluation. An evaluation is not just air samples where the inspector takes the air samples, charges you $300 or $400 to drive them to the lab, and then sends you the lab results where you're left to interpret them. Do not hire anyone to do mold that cannot write up what's called a remediation protocol. If they don't know how to do that, do not hire them. They're literally, I can tell you what it costs. The samples are about $30 to $35 all in. So if they're charging you $300 to $400, to basically take the sample, take it to the lab, and all they're giving you is a 2-page report that says, hey, I took samples here, here, and here, and here's the lab results, good luck. They literally charge you $300 to drive them across town to the lab. Don't do that. You don't want to do that. What you do want is a company that can write up and basically the assessment, the how to fix the problem, and understands remediation protocols and remediation and containments and all that kind of stuff. So the reason for the initial evaluation, we'll take one sample outdoors, we'll take one sample near the issue, and then we'll take another sample in another part of the house because we want to know that as that mold dried out under the kitchen sink, did those mold spores become airborne and disperse throughout the whole house? Did they get into the HVAC system? Are they in the ducts? I'm in my living room of a 3-story house. If I had mold in my kitchen, I would want to sample on all 3 floors to see if there's elevated levels on the upstairs and on the downstairs. If there is, I not only have to clean what you can see is damaged in the kitchen, but I have to also do air cleaning, and there's a way to do that, in all 3 floors if the HVAC system got mold in it and the mold spores get kicked around every time the AC kicks on. And I might even need to get the ducts clean if there's mold spores hiding out in there. The way to think of it is if you spilled a bag of flour in your kitchen and you just let it go and didn't clean it up for 6 months, where would the little flour be after 6 months, right? It would be on every flat surface, in the carpeting, in the air ducts, on ceiling fans. And all you'd have to do is walk by it, and just this movement would make the mold spores become airborne again. So that evaluation tells you how extensive the problem is, and if you're just if you find out that the airborne levels aren't bad in the other 2 levels, but they're just there in the kitchen, well, we put the containment up, and now, we just do the mold remediation in the kitchen, and then we know that if we took all the precautions properly and we do our clearance testing afterwards, we're done, and we know that we're all set. So that being said, that is kind of what it looks like. It's going to start around $2,000 for the mold remediation. So the rest of the cost is your normal renovating of a kitchen or a bathroom or wherever you find the mold problem. So a containment goes up, HEPA filters, properly trained people wearing all the protective gear go in, they cut everything up that's mold damage, they take it out. If it's wood, or if it's framing, if this wall had mold damage, we would replace the drywall, but the framing behind it, the wood, we would just sand and seal that. We don't have to replace that. And you leave the containment up, right? You have HEPA filters running in there, we're cleaning the air, we're gonna be disturbing mold, and then before the containment comes down, again, this is not the same company that does the cleanup. You have one company that writes up what job needs to be done. You have another company that actually does the cleanup, and then usually the first company comes back in and does the clearance testing. Why is that? Because the remediation company has a financial bias, 1, to say they did their work properly, and 2, to potentially make the job as big as possible. As an assessing company, we get paid 1 fee, and we don't care if it's a big job or no job at all. The remediation company has a financial bias. So while the containment is up, after everything's been cleaned up properly, before you start any more build out, you have us come back in and we do a round of testing to verify that all of the mold levels are back down below where they should be back down below outdoor levels. And then when we can prove that with the samples, now you know it's safe to take the containment down and build up at the kitchen back the way we expected it to. So that's kind of what a mold problem would look like, whether it's with a window or with your kitchen sink or a roof leak or a plumbing leak, whatever the case may be. It does cost a little bit of money, but everything does, right? And don't let mold kill your deal. Okay, we'll see you on the next training.